I feel it's a great honor for me to be here today to share some interesting information and knowledge about Chinese dialects. And I think probably if some of you have ever been to China, and probably you have found that what you have learned, I mean, the Chinese you have learned is totally different from what you may come across in China there. And that's a different language, right? And so today we will talk about Chinese dialects, okay? And well, Chinese dialects, 中国方言. And first of all, like what we said, you can see that, right? From Labadiana is a winning way to greet each other. But when you are going to China, going to Beijing, probably you will hear people greet to you like 你好, right? I believe that some of you have learned Chinese, so you know 你好. But when you go to Shanghai, that's a city south, right? South than Beijing. People, I mean, local people, of course, Shanghai is very international, so they speak standard Chinese, of course, but local people would like to greet each other with 侬好. So if you like to learn some, you may follow me. 侬好, that is the way Chinese, I mean, Shanghai people will greet each other. And if you move even southern to Hong Kong or to Guangzhou, the people there will greet with each other like 雷猴 or 内猴, because there is a very slight or subtle difference between n and the l. So 雷猴 or 内猴, that is the way they say hello to each other. So you can sense the difference, right? And how to say thank you in Chinese? Yes, in Beijing we say 谢谢, right? In Beijing we say 谢谢, but it's different when you go to Shanghai, and the Shanghai people will say 虾虾. If you have ever been there, probably you have heard 虾虾, 谢谢你, they say 虾虾弄, 虾虾弄. And if you go to Hong Kong, and that's another way to say thank you, they say 多谢, 多谢. Actually, that's 多谢, but so they don't say 谢谢, they say 多谢. So you can sense the difference, okay, when people exchange their daily greetings and daily talks. And so I have been asked for numerous times that how many languages are there in China. And someone say probably several hundreds of different languages. Yes, there are. But the predominant language in China is standard Chinese, or we say 普通话, which is based on Central Mandarin. Okay, and Central Mandarin and also some other different dialects formed 7 Chinese dialects. Okay, and as you will see, this is a map for Chinese dialects. Okay, and but people probably you may notice that actually down there are 10. There are 10 dialects. So that's the different way of category. And some people say there are 10 big groups, and some people say there are 8 big groups. But usually we say there are 7 big Chinese dialect groups. And the biggest one, of course, that's this one. You can see the light brown color. The biggest area covered by Guanhua. Guanhua, that's Mandarin, okay, Mandarin, or Northern Mandarin. Why it's Northern, I will explain it later, okay. That's Mandarin or Northern Mandarin. And as you see that Beijing here, Mandarin, and Shenyang, the city I'm from, Okay, the city I'm from, Shenyang, also Mandarin. And Xi'an, probably some of you have been there. Xi'an, beautiful city, right? And that's Mandarin. And Chengdu, Chongqing, Kunming, also very beautiful country, cities and very famous for the culture and food. Also Mandarin. So this are all, and Urumqi, that's the capital of Xinjiang province, also Mandarin. Apart from Mandarin, there are 6 other dialects, Chinese dialects. Okay, as you see that here is Shanghai, Nanjing, Hangzhou, very famous cities, and there people say 吴语, 语, that's language, right? So 吴语. And here we have 闽语, Min, that's mainly in Fujian province, and the Hakka language, and Cantonese, and Xiangyu, and Ganyu. Probably you have noticed that there are 2 small language group, very small ones. And this is Anhui province. And now Anhui dialect has been merged into Wuyu, and Pinghua has merged into Cantonese. And this one, this pretty big one, this Jinyu has been merged into Mandarin. So that's why we say there are 7. Okay, there are 7 major Chinese dialects: Northern Mandarin, Wu, Min, Hakka, Cantonese, Xiang, and Gan. So totally we have 7 big groups of Chinese dialect. So now you know, you are quite clear, right? And please try to remember, okay, the look of this map, because later we will review, okay? And just like at the very beginning of my lecture, I have mentioned a different way to greet each other and to say thank you. And of course, you know, dialects is how to say, dialects is a different pronunciation of the same language, right, of Chinese character. And you know, Chinese character are all standardized, all same everywhere in China, right? And so dialects is actually the different pronunciation, and also some very specific local slangs involved in the local dialects. So probably you may wonder how different they are, from one to another. And now I'd like to share with you a piece of short video where you may sense how different they are. And this is a Chinese xiangsheng. I don't know whether you have ever known this performing art. This is a very famous Chinese performing art, traditional one, very traditional performing art in China. And usually that's 2 performers standing on the stage, and they deliver a dialogue. And sometimes only one, so that's a monologue. It's like a talk show, but it's funny, it's really funny, okay? And now I'd like to, share this one. And before we started the dialogue, I would like to introduce the setting, okay? The setting is like this. 2 brothers, there are 2 brothers share apartment or a house. And at night, the big brother hears someone is opening the door. So he asks, who is it? And the younger one answered, it's me. And the elder brother said, what are you doing? And the younger one said, I'm going to toilet. So just 4 sentences in this dialogue. Okay, and let's see how different dialects may express in this dialogue. And let's come to this part. Okay, and first, that is a dialogue between, made by Beijing Mandarin. Okay, so let's see how Beijing people will say.
这是谁呀
4个字，
回答也4个。
怎么说？
是我您呐。你干嘛去？我撒泡尿。
哎，对，哎。
So maybe you cannot fully understand what they are talking about, but at least you can count the syllables, because one syllable in Chinese stands for one character, right? One word. So 4 syllables, 4 words in a sentence, and 4 sentences altogether. There's 16 words in this dialogue, and can it become even shorter? Let's come to another dialect, which is made by Jiaodong dialect. Jiaodong dialect is in Liaoning province, and in Shandong province, there is kind of sub-dialect of Mandarin, of Northern Mandarin, and see what they are going to say.
学一学，
那儿门一响，这儿发觉了。这是谁？这是我。上哪儿去？想变水。
So you see 3 words used in in each sentence, and 4 sentences together, 12 words, right? 12 words settle the problem. And so this is a briefer and a shorter dialogue, and expressed in Jiaodong dialect. And what about Shanghai people? So let's go to, okay.
撒尿、我呀、撒体、撒屎。
对。
So this is Shanghai. It's called Wuyu. Remember that Shanghai people, their dialect belongs to Wuyu. So that is the Wu dialect, and 2 words in each sentence. So totally 8 words. Do you think we can even make it briefer or shorter? Let's come to another one. Yes, this one. And now let's go to Henan province. Okay.
河南话，
河南
那儿门一响，谁？我抓鸟。
完了。
So 1 word in each sentence, and 4 words the whole dialogue in Henan dialect. So in this dialogue, you can sense the different pronunciation of the characters, and also different usage of the Chinese characters. So that is dialect. Okay. And why there are so many varieties? Why there are so many different dialects? Of course, there are several different reasons, but I think the first one is geographical reasons, right? We know that China is big. And China, this is a geographical map of China, and you can see, remember the dialect map, just I showed you before, and this is the Mandarin part, right? This is the Mandarin area. And as you can see, this is the flatter part, flatter part. So this is, it is called Central Plains, Central Plains. The Central Plains is flatter, which makes the travel easier. And in turn, it makes the communication of different languages easier. So that it's easier for people to spread different language and to be understood by other people. But you see in southeast part here, I think you can see there are many rivers, right? Here rivers and the mountains, highlands. The mountains are very, there's a lot, but not very high, but high enough and many enough to block communication. Even some villages are blocked by rivers, and so it's not an extreme cases that the two neighboring villages cannot understand each other. So that is the reason. I think that is the geographical reason for more varieties in this area. Okay, and any other reasons? Of course, some historical reasons, right? And this map of dialect again, the Northern Mandarin, okay, the Northern Mandarin, why we have so big area covered by Mandarin. And also we call it as Northern Mandarin. Why? Because you know that the Chinese civilization, the birthplace of Chinese civilization begins here, Northern, Yellow River, you know, Yellow River, right? And also during the 5,000 years of history, and many different dynasties, Qin, Han, Tang, and many other unified dynasties set their capital in the north part. This is Xi'an, which was used as a capital for by many different dynasties, and this is Beijing. Okay, the capital city for in Qing and Ming dynasty, right? So the dominant or the official languages used in these places can be spread far and by more people, because as you know, this is flatter place, right? So that's why. And also, you know, a large number of Northern people has been integrated with some minor groups in history, like Xiongnu, as you have learned, right? And Khitan, Turk, Xianbei, and Mongolia, and the Nuzhen. So the languages here changed a lot from ancient times. And due to the wide distribution of the Mandarin over China, and the different immigrants in different places formed different subdialects. So in Mandarin, or we say Northern Mandarin, actually it is not only used in the north, it is also used in west, southwest, and west and northeast. So the Mandarin has been divided into 8 subdialects. Here, the place I'm from speaks Northeast Mandarin, and the place around Beijing is Beijing Mandarin. And also we have Jilu Mandarin, we have Lanyin Mandarin, we have Southwest Mandarin and West Mandarin. But as you know, we have different accents, but it's not easy, it's not hard for us to understand each other. That's why even Sichuan is in Southwest, but their language is not as hard as the Southeastern people. Okay, so this is North Mandarin. And among those 8 kinds of subdialects in Mandarin, Beijing Mandarin is the closest one to the Standard Chinese. So the Standard Chinese, or we say Putonghua, is made based on Beijing Mandarin. Okay, and the other Chinese dialects in southern China originated from several southward migration activities in the middle and the lower reaches of Yellow River in history. We know that immigrants in China, in Chinese history, can be traced back to pre-Qin dynasty and the modern times. There are 2 immigrants in China. First is the automatic migration of the people, and the other is the planned migration of the government. And the former one usually is mostly caused by war, famine, or population expansion. But the latter one usually is planned by the government and out of some political, military, and economic reasons. And throughout the immigration activities in Chinese history, the main direction of the migration is from north to south, followed by from east to the west. And the reverse is very rare. So this important feature has produced the original source of Chinese southern dialects and formed the geographical pattern of Chinese dialects today. And is there a general dividing line between the northern and southern dialects? There is. You can see the map, the red one. It is called the Huai River and the Qinling line. Okay, Huai River is here. And along here, there is a range of mountains, which is called Qinling. So Qinling and Huaihe formed a dividing line. It is regarded as a dividing line between the northern and southern dialects. After Western Qin dynasty, about 1,700 years ago, the three southward migration made the northern dialects cross this line into the south on a large scale. The northern language brought by immigrants has a profound impact on the indigenous language, thus gradually change the geographical layout of the southern dialects. So the basic pattern of Chinese dialect is caused by the three large-scale migration to the south and some small and medium-sized migration activities in history. And please remember, the three big immigrations refers to the first one is like what I said, Jin dynasty, right? At the end of Western Jin dynasty, that's about 1,700 years ago. And but the second one is in Tang dynasty, which is about 1,200 years ago or 300 years ago, yeah, as it's in Tang dynasty. And the third one is Song dynasty, which is about 900 years ago, Southern Song dynasty. And since the Southern Song dynasty, due to the invasion of Mongols, the Southern Song, this is Song, you see the orange block, this is Song. And the Southern Song moved to the south. So the Central Plains culture before Southern Song dynasty has been very well preserved and developed in the south. So that may explain why it is that the southern dialects are believed much closer to the Asian Chinese. And this is the dialect map. So if you can put these two maps one above the other, probably you can see that Song dynasty's territory covers more or less the southern dialects area, right? Okay, and so among all this southern dialects, Wu, Min, Hakka, Cantonese, Xiang, Gan, among all the southern dialects, so which one is the strongest one? I don't know whether you have the answer in your mind. That's Cantonese. Yes, that's Cantonese, Yue. And when people speak of Chinese language, actually, it's very common to think of only two. One is Mandarin, and the other is Cantonese or Yue. Why? Because Cantonese is the second most spoken Chinese language. Okay, it's the second most spoken Chinese language. And like Mandarin, Cantonese is spoken in 13 countries and by 80 million people, but someone said it's about 100 million people speaking Cantonese around the world. And it's very old, has long history, 2,200 years old. And it is believed to be the closest one to Asian Chinese. And you know, the term Cantonese dialect is actually specific to the city of Guangzhou, the capital of Guangdong province. And you know, Cantonese spoken in Hong Kong and Cantonese spoken in Guangzhou is not exactly the same. It's not exactly the same, but the slight difference now are disappearing actually. And how Cantonese is different from standard Chinese? Actually, to me, as a northern people, it's like a foreign language. If I go to, I have been to Hong Kong once or twice, but I cannot understand if I don't read the character. It's really hard for me. So it's like a kind of foreign language. And now I will show you how different it is. And I think as a Chinese learner, you have learned how to count 1 to 10, right? So let's do it in standard Chinese. It's easy, right, for the Chinese learner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now let's do it in Cantonese way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I will do it again. In standard Chinese, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So see the difference? It's a lot, right? And how it could be so different? First of all, the pronunciation, the tones. In standard Chinese, there are 4 tones, and it's already it's a headache for Chinese learner, right? 4 tones. It's like a singing. But for Cantonese, there are 9. So more tones. And the difference between one to another is very, very subtle, slight. It's really hard to detect. And consonants in standard Chinese, there's 23, but in Cantonese, only 10, so that's good. And the vowels in standard Chinese, there's 24, but in Cantonese, that's 56. So you see, and thus the syllables becomes more. In Cantonese, that's 1,885, but in standard Chinese is a smaller number, right? So you see from the pronunciation, okay, the tones, more tones, 9 tones, and more vowels, a lot more vowels, okay? And thus we have more combination, right? And another big difference is in standard Chinese, we have the consonants like this, which is not difficult for you to pronounce, right? And in Cantonese, it changed into z. So here I listed 3 expressions, which has these 3 consonants. And so you may sense the difference, okay? The first one is knowledge. Knowledge in Chinese, in standard Chinese, I mean, that's 知识, 知识. But in Cantonese, that's 知识, 知识. And the second one is drink tea. In standard Chinese, that's 喝茶, 喝茶. But in Cantonese, that's 饮茶, 饮茶. And the third, get on bus, get on train. In standard Chinese, 上车, 上车. In Cantonese, 上车, 上车. So it's quite clear, right, the difference between standard Chinese and Cantonese, this consonants. But the most important feature of Cantonese vowels is that they retain the endings of m, p, t, and k, entering tone. We call entering tone or checked tone, which originally existed in Middle Asian Chinese. For example, rubbish in standard Chinese, that's 垃圾, but in Cantonese, that's 垃圾, 垃圾. And white color, 白色, in Cantonese, that's 白色, 白色. When it comes to the entering tone, there needs to be airflow to block this process, but it doesn't actually make a sound. Okay, you cannot say lap cup. No, that's that you allow the airflow to block, to stop the process. Doesn't make any sound. So that's lap cup, lap cup, lap cup, and baxi, baxi. So there is no sound at the end. And in Asian Chinese, when people wrote poems, some of them used the entering tones as their rhyme ending. So that's why when people say, when reading Asian poems, when Cantonese people read it in Cantonese, it sounds much better than what we do in Putonghua or in standard Chinese. That is the reason, because the language is closer, is similar. Okay, and apart from the pronunciation, the vocabulary also different between Cantonese and standard Chinese. Okay, here is a list of some expressions in Cantonese and standard Chinese. As we said, that Cantonese is more ancient, so it tends to be more briefer, much briefer and ancient. So the standard Chinese ear, 耳朵, in Cantonese, it becomes shorter, it becomes one syllable, one character, 耳. But pronunciation is different, not 耳, that's 一. And 尾巴, tail, that is 尾巴. And in Cantonese, it becomes even shorter to one character, 尾, or 眉, actually pronounced as 眉. And the usage of verbs in standard Chinese and Cantonese also different. In Cantonese, some Asian verbs tend to be used. So here, haircut, that's 理发 in standard Chinese, but in Cantonese, that's 飞发. 飞发. You know, 飞 means fly, right? Let your hair fly away. So that's like, you know, full of imagination. So it's beautiful. And this means two also, 也. But in Cantonese, 一 is used. 一 is an Asian one, Asian Chinese, which means two also, 一. And how many in Chinese, that's 多少, you know 多少. But in Cantonese, it's 几, pronounced as 给. 什么时候, when, 什么时候, when. In Cantonese, that's two words, not four words, okay, two words, briefer. And it's 几时, 给西. And 多少, how many, 多少, 给多. And also, I'm sorry, also 喝, drink. It's not 喝茶. When we say 喝茶in standard Chinese, drink tea. But in Cantonese, they say 饮茶, yin. That's ancient verb, which means to drink. So, 饮茶. So you see, in Cantonese, they choose to keep the usage of Asian Chinese and also keep the way when Asian Chinese is used, right? So it's briefer and it's more concise and it's beautiful, also more beautiful. And later, I would like you to listen to another part of the video where you may find a Hong Kong actor read an Asian poem. Because as we know that Asian poems now we have in China numerous Asian poems, but most of them are written by Tang Dynasty, written in Tang and the Song Dynasty. And as I mentioned before, during Tang and the Song Dynasty, there are two big immigrants from north to south. So that's why the Tang and the Song's culture has been very well preserved and developed in the south, also in Guangdong province. So I hope you can try to appreciate the different taste and different flavor when Hong Kong people, when Cantonese people read the poems in Cantonese. Okay, and now, yes, this one, and let's see. Let's forward to this. Yeah, here.
用广东话练好不好？好，感受一下
啊。Sorry.
Sorry.
We cannot see the video. We only see the window with the video icon.
I'm sorry. Okay. I'll try. What about this time, Ona?
Now I can see the screen. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
弄下练好不好？好，感受一下啊。江山鸟飞绝，萬徑人終滅。烏州疏粒翁，獨釣寒江雪。
你看，
都是陆生字。
对他这个铿锵有力啊。
对，包括像李白的那个《将进酒》里面有一句叫“古来圣贤皆寂寞，唯有饮者留其名”，这是拿普通话念。如果拿广东话是“古來先賢皆寂寞，唯有飲者留其名”啊！
哇，你看你气势完全不一样，
完全不一样，
还留其名啊，
留其名啊！
还有那个《满江红》也是那个陆生字。
哇，今天准备很多哎。
靖康耻猶未決，臣子恨，何時滅？家長驅，踏破河南山缺，壯志飢餐胡虜肉，笑談渴飲匈奴血，待從頭收拾舊山河，朝天闕。
So probably you can sense that the reader or this actor's momentum is stronger when he read the poems in Cantonese, and the taste becomes different. Becomes more elegant, more powerful. And I have read a piece of news that some linguistics use artificial intelligence technology to reproduce the language of Tang and the Song dynasty, and find that the pronunciation of Asian Chinese is very similar to that of Cantonese. So that's really interesting. Probably we may wonder why Cantonese is so popular. The reason why. I think the first reason is communication with foreign countries, because since the end of Qing dynasty, a lot of foreigners came to China to do business, and Guangzhou, as an important port in South China, gathered a large number of foreigners. And so the first language the foreigners come in contact with is Cantonese, and they spread Cantonese to the other part of the world as the official language of China, right? And on the other hand, the coming of foreign people also broadened the horizon of Guangdong people, Cantonese people, and so they also go abroad and to study or to move abroad, doing business, and in turn, they also spread the Cantonese to other corner of the world. So that's why so many people now in the different parts of the world still speak Cantonese, right? That's the first reason, I think. And the second reason, I think, is the government support, because not only Hong Kong government, Macau government, and also Guangdong provincial government support Cantonese as their main language. And when you go to Hong Kong and Macau, it's unbelievable if you cannot understand Cantonese, and that's their official language. And if you go to Guangdong province, there are more people speak Cantonese than Putonghua, except Shenzhen. Shenzhen is pretty young. It's a new city, so they're full of immigrants from all over every corner of the country. So the Putonghua is very popular there, not Cantonese. But other part of Pearl River Delta, Cantonese is still the dominant language. So I think that's the second reason. And another reason, I think, is pop culture, because since the China's reform and opening up, Cantonese has been the dominant language of Chinese pop culture, and especially the pop music, Cantonese songs. Now in China, I think almost everyone, when we go to karaoke, we can sing one or two Cantonese songs. It's really popular among mainland. And also because of the shooting of some Chinese martial art genres, and also some Western style gangster thrillers make the Cantonese movies and TV works enter a heyday. So I remember when I was little in 1980s, 1990s, our family bought a lot of CDs from which we watched Hong Kong movies and Hong Kong TV series. And so songs and movie stars becomes the mainstream of the pop culture. So I think that's why. And so if you go to Hong Kong or go to Guangdong province, I think you'd better get prepared with some Cantonese. Probably you may not be able to speak, right? But at least you can understand. And to say pop culture, now I'd like to play a song, a very popular song, a very, very popular song. That's a new song now, and most popular one now in China. The reason why I play it because it's half in the standard Chinese and half in Cantonese. And please listen to it and tell me which part do you think, which part is in standard Chinese and which part is in Cantonese? You can tell me in the chat box, okay? And let's see.
But we cannot see the video. If
No.
the video. No.
I'm sorry. Okay. Let's try. What about now? Can you see it now?
No, I see the icon and the screen with the files.
Sorry. Let's see. What about now?
No. But a few moments ago we could see it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
取一杯天上的水，照着明月人世间晃呀晃，爱恨不过是一瞬间，红尘里飘飘。取一杯天上的水，照了明月人世间望呀望，爱恨重复过千代遍，红尘里飘飘。
就讓這大風吹，大風吹，一直吹，吹走我心裏那段痛，那段悲，讓暴雨沖洗風中唏噓。當初的你，彷彿是天注定。就讓這大風吹，大風吹，一直吹，漆黑中洗去眼眸裏那淚水，就讓那往事消失風裏。當初的你。記得我的那個誰？取一杯天上水，照着明月人世間晃呀晃，愛恨不過是一瞬間。紅塵裏飄搖，
取一杯天上水，照了明月人世間望呀望，愛恨重複過千代遍，紅塵裏飄搖。
就讓這大風吹，大風吹，一直吹，吹走我心裏那段痛，那段悲，讓暴雨沖洗風中唏噓。當初的你，彷彿是天注定。就讓這大風吹，大風吹，一直吹，漆黑中洗去眼眸裏那淚水，就讓那往事消失風裏。當初的你，曾記得我的那個誰？就讓這大風吹，大風吹，一直吹，吹走我心裏那段痛，那段悲，讓暴雨沖洗風中唏噓。當初的你，彷彿是天注定。就讓這大風吹，大風吹，一直吹，漆黑中洗去眼眸裏那淚水，就讓那往事消失風裏。當初的你，曾記得我的那個誰？曾記得我的那個誰？
Okay. So, Can you decide, or can you decide which part is the, is sung in standard Chinese and which part in Cantonese? Can you? If you know the answer, yeah. Women in Cantonese, very good. Yeah, yes, that's right. Yeah, women in Cantonese, very good. You see, I'm sorry. The name of the song is 大风吹, right? 大风吹, but in Cantonese, that's 大风吹, 大风吹. So it's totally different. So 大风吹, 大风吹. Okay, thank you. Now, last two. Okay, so if you are interested in Cantonese, because it's really beautiful, and I think you can download some app, Cantonese learning app in Google Play. I have checked, and there are several good ones, and one is 每天学粤语, every day learn some Cantonese, and another one is 轻松学广东话, that's learning Cantonese in an easy way. Okay, so probably it may help if you are really interested in Cantonese. And also I will recommend some TV works and movies to you. I think this two is really good. The first one is 山海情. This is the newest TV series in China, in mainland China, and it's good because it has two versions. One is local dialect version, which is in Northwestern Mandarin, really good. And of course it has Putonghua version, but I don't think it's as good as the local one. And another is the movie Huang Fei Hong. That is a Hong Kong movie, and Huang Fei Hong is martial art master in Guangdong province, very famous one. And also I think this movie has two versions, local, Cantonese version and the Putonghua version. So probably you can watch these two TV works and movie to taste the difference, the different dialects. And yeah, it's time to say goodbye, to say 再见, right? 再见 in Chinese. And again, if you are in Shanghai, we don't say 再见, we say 再会, 再会. And if you are in Hong Kong, a different way, that's 再見, 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 再見. Yes, 再見. So that's totally different. And we see that. Yeah, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. So that's it. That's all about the lecture today. And thank you for your attending. And I do hope someday you can go to China and try to go to different places to have a taste of different dialects there in person. And just like when you go to China, you like to try different dishes, different flavor. And next time, please try to have a taste of different dialects. Okay. Okay. Here I have a problem from Demande. 老师好, do people from Guangdong speak standard Chinese in the same way as northern people, or their standard Chinese have some specific accent? Of course. Well, actually, in all over China, we speak, we speak standard Chinese, but in Guangdong province, it's exception because it's a kind of tradition. So Cantonese is more popular than Putonghua in Guangdong province, especially in Guangzhou and Hong Kong. Don't mention Hong Kong and Macau. Their their official language is Cantonese. So, but if you speak standard Chinese there, people can understand you because, you know, we have a standard Chinese program on TV and radio. So, and of course the writing are same, so there's no problem, but it will be a problem for you because it's not easy to understand other people. And yeah, and thank you, 云哥. It 特别有意思哈. So, do you have any other questions about the dialect? Of course, there are so many dialects. I don't think this lecture can cover all of them. Of course, I cannot. And but I try my best. And I also learned some Cantonese and Shanghai Hua during these 2 weeks. And I found it's really fun. So, any other questions? If there's no, okay. The storyline Chinese from several reason. Oh, here, it's better to start standard. Yes, definitely. Aliona, yeah, thank you for your question. And I think as a Chinese language starter, you'd better start with standard Chinese because most part of China is covered by Mandarin, by standard Chinese. And you will be better understood if you speak standard Chinese. Yeah, definitely. And any other questions? Thank you. Okay.
Okay, if there are no further questions, 谢谢老师。
谢谢欧娜。
It was very
谢谢欧
interesting.
娜。
Thank you for your time, and let's finish today's lecture here. And I hope to see you all, everybody, in the future in our other lectures.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Viso quero. Labiausiai. Am I right, Ona?
Yes.
Labiausiai. 非常感谢。